Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Tasis Kalimos. Happy joining you guys today on this beautiful Saturday. We have 3 NFL games on the Saturday. What a blessing for us football fans. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm happy to have you guys join us. If you're new to me, if you don't know who I am, I do a bunch of videos here on Guy Boston Sports. I do NBA player prop parlay videos. I do football videos, college football videos, all kinds of stuff, soccer videos. Do a little bit of everything here on the channel. Earlier today, I posted a video, same game parlay for the Bengals Vikings game. I told you I'll be posting same game parlay videos for the other 2 games. So here's my same game parlay video for the Steelers at Colts game, the 4:30 game. How this works, I have 2 same game parlays to share with you guys. Okay, first one is going to be a little bit easier. The odds are going to be a little lower. It's going to be a little more realistic to hit this one. The second parlay will be a higher odds, over plus 500 for this video, where I still love the chance to hit it, but obviously it is a much more higher risk. There are more legs, more risk, but the payout is larger. So 2 same game parlays. The first one a little safer, second one not as safe. Guys, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Shout out to Outlier, the sponsor of our show. Best sports betting tool in the market today. It gives you all kinds of great data and research, and you use our link in the description below. You get a 7-day free trial to try out Outlier for yourself. You will not be disappointed. Guys, without further ado, let's get into these parlays. All right, guys, so starting off with our first parlay. This is the easier parlay. It's a 3-leg parlay, and starting off, we have Julian Blackmon for the Indianapolis Colts over 3.5 tackles. Now, guys, this pick is us purely betting the trend. He's hit this number in 11 out of 13 games this season. That is an 85% hit rate on the year for Julian Blackmon over 3.5 tackles. Really nothing much more to it. When you see trends like that, you see patterns like that, you see the chart over here, again, provided by Outlier, the show's sponsor. It's hard not to bet it. Only twice this season has he failed to hit this over. He had 3 tackles against the Saints back in October. And then in September, he had 3 tackles against Jacksonville. So only twice this season has he failed to hit it, and he missed it by just 1 tackle. So really great spot. He has never had less than 3 tackles in a game this year. When you have odds like that and you have patterns like that, you got to hit it. So over 3.5 tackles for Julian Blackmon. And for the second leg of this first parlay, guys, we're going to go over to the Steelers side. We're going Jaylen Warren over 2.5 receptions. Again, another great spot here. Jaylen Warren has hit this in 10 out of 13 games this season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's a 77% hit rate. And when you take into account that the Indianapolis Colts are currently giving up just shy of 5 receptions a game to the running back position, it's a pretty good spot. He is their main receiving back in terms of targets to the running back position. He is definitely ahead of Najee Harris. Again, 10 out of 13 games this season to hit this. The Colts, they're not, I wouldn't say it's a super favorable matchup, but they are giving nearly 5 receptions a game up to the running back position. So a pretty good spot here for Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren is actually the 3rd most targeted player on the Pittsburgh Steelers this season. So take that into account. I love the spot here, over 2.5 receptions. This Colts defense isn't the best. I think he hits this number easily. And guys, for the third and final leg of this first parlay, we're going Mitchell Trubisky to throw a touchdown pass in this game. I know it sounds very simple, but this is not a number that he usually crushes. He has hit this in 6 of his last 10 games with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's thrown a touchdown pass, so a 60% hit rate. He has covered it in each of his last 3 games with the Steelers. I do still like the spot for him. I know the Colts defensively, they're kind of top 10 in the league in terms of touchdown passes allowed, meaning that they don't give up a lot of touchdowns. They give 1.15 touchdown passes per game to the quarterback position. Actually, one of the better defensive teams against passing touchdowns in the NFL right now. But they do give up at least 1 touchdown a game on average, a little more than that. I do think he will hit a touchdown pass here. Again, 6 of his last 10 games with the Steelers, each of his last 3. This Colts defense is solid, but there's nothing to write home about. I think coming off that Patriots game, I do think Trubisky and this Steelers team will be motivated. And Mike Tomlin, off a loss, there's no better coach in the league off a loss than Mike Tomlin. So I do like the spot here. I think Mitch Trubisky does get at least a touchdown pass. They're going to have to need him. They're going to need him to throw and get some touchdowns through the air if they have a shot of staying in this game. And guys, when you parlay those 3 picks together, you get a parlay of plus 246 odds. Again, not half bad for our safer parlay here. Plus 246 odds. Jaylen Warren and Julian Blackmon, those 2 guys are hitting those numbers consistently. Those are pretty safe bets. Trubisky's the risky one here, and it's funny because his odds actually are the highest of the parlay. Little risky, but I do think him to throw a touchdown pass is a pretty safe bet. So plus 246. This is the first same game parlay for the video. And we're moving right along here, guys. Moving right into the next parlay. This is a 5-leg same game parlay for the Steelers Colts game. This one's going to be a much higher odds, a little riskier, but I still like the spot. So starting off, guys, first leg of the 5-leg same game parlay. We're going with an alternate line, Pittsburgh Steelers plus 3.5 against the Colts. Now, like I just said before, Mike Tomlin off a loss, there isn't a better coach. There's a bunch of data you can find out there to prove this point. When they're coming off a loss, they are one of the best teams in the league and covering. So I'm going to go ahead and take here plus 3.5. I'm playing a little safe. I think there's a real chance the Steelers could win this game outright, but the Colts are frisky. They are a very interesting team. They're a hard team to kind of get a read on because they're not really great at anything, but they're not bad at anything either. So I do like Trubisky here. To maybe have a bounce back game because he really is not that bad of a quarterback. This offense isn't great, but they have pieces. You hope that maybe they can string something together here. Whatever the case may be, I'm going to play it safe and take the plus 3.5. I do think I could see Pittsburgh winning this game outright on the road. I think 100% they cover this plus 3.5. This defense for Pittsburgh is far too good to not keep this game close. They didn't have a really good game last week versus New England. I think they bounced back here, going up against Gardner Minshew in this Colts offense, which again, not a terrible offense, but nothing to write home about. I really do like a bounce back spot here for the Steelers. I think plus 3.5 is a guarantee. There's no way, in my opinion, the Colts beat them by more than a field goal. If I'm wrong, then maybe it's time to get Mike Tomlin out of here. But usually, historically, off a loss, off a performance like that from Tomlin, he bounces back. So I do like the Steelers alternate line here of plus 3.5 points. Next up, we're going with an alternate total. We're going with the over 38.5 points. Now, you might think this is a crazy bet. The Steelers defense is fantastic. The Colts offense, not so much. The Steelers offense, not so much. This game kind of screams under to most people. I like the spot here for the over. I mean, the Steelers in that Patriots loss, they lost 21-18. The over hit. This is an alternate. I'm bringing it down a little bit. I think the Steelers will be able to score at least 2, maybe even 3 touchdowns on this Colts defense. I think this game could very well be in the ballpark of another kind of 21-18, 24-21 kind of game, right? I do think the Steelers defense, as good as it is, I do think the Colts should be able to move the ball a little bit and at least score a couple, whether it be a couple touchdowns, some field goals. I do think Indianapolis will be able to score. There will be turnovers in this game for sure, which will obviously have a big impact between Trubisky and Minshew. I do see some turnovers, which could lead to touchdowns, which could lead to good field position. I think the over 38.5 here is a pretty surefire bet, and the sharps are on it. I like the line here. The sharps are on the over of 40.5, taking this down to 38.5, bringing it down a few points just to give us a better chance of hitting here. Cruising right along here, guys. Third leg of this second parlay. We are going Mitch Trubisky over 174 passing yards against the Indianapolis Colts. Now, this is an alternate line. We are playing it safe. The Indianapolis Colts are giving up 242 passing yards per game to the quarterback position. Now, seeing that number or hearing that number, you would think, well, why are we only going for 174.5? Why are we taking an alternate line? Why would we not go higher? Because the straight up line, I think, is like 205.5 or 200.5, something along that line. I'm going the alternate because it is Mitch Trubisky. It is the Steelers offense. I do think he will eclipse this number. The over 200 passing yards, I don't know. The Colts do give up 242 yards per game to quarterbacks. I do think Trubisky will hit 200 yards in this game personally, but we are trying to get a hit here. We're trying to get a safe bet to win some money here. I think 174.5, considering the line and the value, it's pretty good. Trubisky hit this over of 174.5 passing yards in 4 of his 7 games last season with the Steelers. This year, the numbers are not as great. But I do think that Trubisky here will hit this number again, considering the fact that you have a Colts defense that are, middle of the road in terms of passing yards allowed to the quarterback position. I know Trubisky in this passing attack, they're not really prolific. He only had 190 yards against the Patriots, but 190 yards cashes here. And I do think, if the Patriots defense, if he can put up 190 passing yards on the Patriots defense, I do think he should be able to put up close to that at least against the Steelers defense. So I like the spot here, over 174.5 passing yards for Mitch Trubisky. And for the fourth leg of this 5-leg parlay, we're going Najee Harris, anytime touchdown scorer against the Colts. I had to throw an anytime touchdown score in here, and honestly, this is going to be a weird game. I don't know who's going to get touchdowns here. I do think Najee is one of the safest bets. If you're going to go with an anytime touchdown player prop in this game, Najee Harris is a pretty safe bet. A lot of it is a matchup thing. The Colts are giving up the third most rushing touchdowns per game in the league to the running back position. So just based off of that stat line alone, I like the spot here for Najee Harris. He's only covered this in 4 out of 10 games this season that he has played in. Again, not great, 40% hit rate, but this is touchdown. We're not talking about basketball where you're talking about points scored, even in football terms, in terms of rushing attempts and yards and stuff like that. Touchdowns are hard to get. So 40% hit rate for a touchdown prop this season is pretty good, especially when they're usually plus money odds. Not terrible. It's not as great as you'd like it to be. It's not Christian McCaffrey, but it's pretty good. And again, and especially with the matchup here against the Colts, I do think Najee Harris is a pretty safe bet to record a touchdown. So Najee Harris, anytime touchdown here. That is the 4th leg of our parlay. And for the 5th and final leg of our parlay, guys, we're going Deontay Johnson over 39.5 receiving yards. Now, there is one stat that makes me love this pick, and it is the fact that in 7 of the last 10 games that he has played with Mitch Trubisky, he has hit this over 39.5 yards. Now, this is an alternate line. Now, you could go ahead and take the straight-up line, which I believe is 49.5, which he's still hitting in the same numbers. The numbers are exactly the same. 7 of the last 10 games with Trubisky, he has hit the over 49.5 receiving yard mark as well. So, you're feeling ballsy, you're feeling tough, go ahead and take it. It's going to increase the odds to over plus 600. Not a bad idea. I'm an alternate, and we took it down a little bit because I do want a safe bet. Again, we're trying to get a win. That's the goal here. And yes, I'm sacrificing some value, sacrificing some dollars to bring this line down, but it gives us a more guaranteed chance to hit. The numbers are the same. He's hitting them exactly the same. 7 of his last 10 games with Trubisky, he's hitting the over 39.5 mark and the over 49.5 mark. Bring down to 39.5 to make sure that we get a hit here on this 5-leg parlay. And even on the season as a whole, he's hitting this in 6 out of 9 games. And again, we just talked about how the Colts are giving up a ton of passing yards. They're giving up like 242 passing yards a game, 2 quarterbacks. That means that receivers are getting a good chunk of that. I like to see Deontay Johnson have a pretty good game. I think he'll hit 50 yards receiving. But again, playing it safe, going the over 39.5. That is the 5th and final leg of this second parlay. And when you put those all together, you get a parlay of plus 525 odds. Whew. Nice. 525 odds for a parlay, I think, is very hittable. The riskiest part, truthfully, is probably that Najee Harris anytime touchdown prop. But still, at plus 135 odds, not bad. It is the second safest touchdown prop in terms of odds. Guys, that is it for me for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're tailing, if you're fading, if you are fading me, check out the store in the link in the description below for the Fade Me store. Tons of great merch on there. Guys, that is it for me. I will see you later on today with the Saturday Night Football prop for the Broncos-Lions game, the same game parlay for the Broncos-Lions game. Until then, hope you're all winners.